We get all kinds of writing advice, good advice and bad advice. But here are 5 of the worst pieces of writing advice I have ever received. And some of this it's criminally bad. Like it is just straight up wrong and awful. First, you don't need an editor. You can edit it yourself. Just give it a couple rounds of edits and you're fine. You're good to go. Slap that up on Amazon because they're not gonna check. Just throw it up there. See if someone buys it. No, you need a fucking editor. Ideally, you need a couple editors. You need people to look at your book from a different set of eyes. You need editors, beta readers. Really, you need people that are not you to look at your book with the critical eye, to tell you when you are making mistakes and fix them for you. You need to essentially pay for an editor. If you are looking to publish your book and make it actually be professional, one of the biggest things you need to do is be fucking professional about it and have an editor. My editor completely transformed my book from what it was. Working with an editor is one of the greatest joys of writing, and it also is one of the most essential things you can do to make a book worth reading. You need an editor. Anyone who tells you otherwise just doesn't want to pay for said editor. No matter if you have the best, most pristine prose in the world, you still need a damn editor. Number 2, you are not published unless you are traditionally published. Now, there was a time when the gatekeepers of publishing would say what is good and what is not. And there was tremendous benefits in being traditionally published. There is still benefits in being traditionally published. And if you can get a traditional publisher and that is what you want to do, please go ahead and do so. For me, it is not an imperative to success or finding your readers. It is not a signal that your book is better or worse. One of the first things that I was told when I was searching for an agent and a publisher for my book was an agent responded to me and said,
"Look, you have a great book. I can't sell it."
And now that agent was right, because marketing my book has been difficult. Marketing a book that is essentially Game of Thrones without the dragons is not the easiest thing to do. But it also shows a lot of what is being considered. Is it marketable? Not is it worth reading, but is it marketable? So you have to consider that when you're talking about publishing. But beyond that, once you publish your book, you are published. Now, I was actually at a convention when someone pulled me aside and I was kind of, I was like, I'm self-published. I was being very cagey about it. I was being very self-deprecating about what I had done. What they told me was something that I want to impart to you. If you publish your book, it's published. If you went through all the work of writing your book, getting an editor, going through KDP or Draft to Digital or wherever you went, you have published your book. You do not need a traditional publisher to validate your work. Traditional publishing and self-publishing are both valid forms of publication. Please, if I can impart one thing on you here, do not ever go the vanity press route just to get that validation. If you are ever asked to pay to be published, it is essentially a scam. They just want to take your money to make you feel better in saying that you are published. Self-publishing is publishing. So is independent publishing, and so is traditional publishing. The third piece of worst advice I ever got was that writing rules, they're absolute. Show, don't tell. Never use adverbs. Never start a sentence with and. Writing rules, you should know them. You should understand them as much as you can. I personally have learned a lot more about writing rules as I have written things. My editor has taught me. In fact, one of the reasons why I went with my editor was I thought that she would be able to help me become a better writer, and she did. I have learned through the process as I have gone about it. But writing rules are not absolute. However, I do want to caution you here. because you can take it the complete opposite direction and you can say, well, they're just suggestions. No, they're not just suggestions. They're there for a reason, and you should know what the hell they are before you start breaking or bending them. You should know why you are doing it, and you should do it with purpose. Make sure you understand why the rule exists and what it is there for. Take the time to learn. I continue to learn. I have written 2 books and I'm still learning writing rules today, but also understand that you have the ability to twist and switch and shift and do what you need to do within those writing rules. Just make sure you have a reason for it. And your reason probably shouldn't be just because, hey, I wanted to, or I don't have to listen to those rules. Number 4, don't use technology or AI like Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid, because it won't help, or it'll tell you the wrong things. Yes, it can absolutely tell you the wrong things, but that does not mean you should not use it. I would be terrified, absolutely terrified, if I sent my draft to my editor before going through it with multiple AI editing tools. Those tools, as you go through them, will teach you things that you did wrong. They will find things like spelling errors. They will find places where you may have double spaced. They will find things like using a comma or not using a comma. It will tell you a lot of the things you need to do. Hell, Pro Writing Aid can help you make sure that all your quotation marks are those damn curly ones, not the straight ones, the curly ones, because those ones look better. But for some reason, anyway, AI editing tools like these are helpful if you use them in the right way. Do not just accept all of the edits. Go through painstakingly, look at what they're saying, look at what you put, and make the conscious decision whether you will accept it or ignore it. That is what they are there for. They are an assistant. They are for you to look at. And it's essentially the same thing you should be doing with your editor anyway. You should be going through your editor's edits and making sure you agree with them. This is just like the first step in that. And again, go back to reason 1. Using these is not a substitute for that human editor. You still need the human editor. Please use both. Number 5, and this is by far the absolute worst, just infuriating, absolutely infuriating piece of advice that I have ever heard anyone give any writer ever. That advice: quit. Quit. I have been told to quit writing. I have been told that my writing was weird. I have been told that I shouldn't do it. I have seen other people told that they should quit because they didn't have a full story, or they had been taking too long with the story. They had been sitting on it for too long, or they didn't have the right grammatical structure. Please don't ever fucking tell someone to quit something they are passionate about just because they don't meet your current standard. All of us were shit at some point. On this channel, I talk a lot about how first drafts are shit. That applies to pretty much everything creative. You get better by doing. Don't give up. Please, I implore you, if someone is telling you to quit writing right now, please don't. Please keep going. Please keep writing. Keep trying. Keep working at it. If it is something that you are passionate about and something you want to work towards, keep going. There is an audience out there for your book, or your poem, or your short stories, or your fan fiction. There is someone out there that wants to read it. Please do not give up. Keep going, because the world needs more art, and writing is art. Keep going. Keep telling stories, because that's ultimately what this is all about. Keep up the storytelling, because we need you to. My name is Mark Moore. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, I have writing tips. I have creativity on this channel with writing. I try and make it a fun place. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.